Welcome to the show. I'm Sherry Schreiner. First Wednesday show. Wow. Moving the schedule around a lot. So this is the first time I've been on a Wednesday. And it seems to be going pretty well. Thought I'd have some problems this morning with the internet, but that got settled. A couple of things I was looking at, a lot of people putting out videos still in Antarctica, and I already told you what's going on down there. But it's always interesting to see everybody else freak out over the creatures down there and stuff, and you know what, that's just the way it is, and it's going to be. They're not going to get access to the Middle Earth down there anymore, and so to block that out of there, it's what I've said. It's what I made a whole video about. People want to scream and cry that I'm crazy, and then they find out I'm right. Some take longer than others, but eventually they swing full around. So what's interesting, I told you last week about Trump bombing that reptilian base in Afghanistan. And so now you kind of see videos coming out of, it being an alien base or it being CIA tunnels and all this stuff. Folks, the CIA is aliens. And are aliens, whatever you want to be grammatically correct. It's the whole reptilian regime. And when you look at the CIA today, they own the mainstream media, which is nothing but a propaganda arm for the CIA. And what they do is they censor and block news from reaching the public that would expose the CIA for who and what they are and what they're doing and all their crimes in Washington and the world, and specifically in America. It's such a joke. There was a law that CIA agents don't operate on the homeland. They're strictly overseas foreign intel agency, and of course that's nothing but a lie. They operate all over American soil, and sometimes you can just sit back and watch all these agents join together on the internet, like minds find each other, and so these trolls will often befriend each other on the internet, not even knowing the other one is a troll, because of course you have many agencies involved with trolling on the internet. You have the CIA, the NSA, the FBI. You have witches involved who like to get on Christian forums and lead people astray, acting like Christians, spewing false doctrines, try to influence Christians. And you have a hodgepodge, folks. It's a complete mess. But they will all find each other, and you can just sit back and watch it all. The one thing they cannot duplicate is being a real Holy Spirit-filled believer, because likewise, Holy Spirit-filled believers will find each other, and so it's one thing they can't peg. They call it the God particle. Holy Spirit-filled believers must be full of God particles. I was reading this article about bombing giants in Afghanistan. Back in the mid-2000s, I told you guys that they were bringing in giants on UFOs and dropping them off in the desert. And this is in Israel. They were dropping off these huge giants in the desert in Israel. I think that's the Negev. And these giants are finding their way over to Afghanistan, probably dropped them off over there too, bringing them in for the last days. And you know what? They were trucking them into America. They were bringing them in by ship and by C-130s. And then they would put them in 18-wheeler trucks, and they were taking them down to a base they had built in North Carolina. Can't think of the name of the area. I know it's outside Asheville. But there was a huge base built there for the giants. And they were trucking them in, putting them in this base. This is part of Satan's plan when he wants to unleash chaos on the world. And he'll do that around the time of the Mark of the Beast enforcement. He'll just unleash total chaos. He has all these giants that they've brought in They haven't always been here. They were brought in. There's some who are saying there's a lot of them kept in stasis that will be woken up. I don't know about that, but whatever. I can't refute it either. Can't confirm or deny that one. But I just tell you what I do know, and is that a lot of them were brought in by alien ships, UFOs. And the cash system we have now will go to currency back. This is the plan. The 3-step plan is to unite the world currencies under, like in America, it would switch back to a gold-backed standard. All currencies of the world would be precious metals backed. And then you switch it to a digital platform. You would have the e-dollar. And then you switch it to technology, which is chip implanting the public to replace those loathsome chip-implanted debit cards. I think they do that on purpose, make those cards so ridiculous to work with, so that people would just take it in their hand, the chip in their hand, so they no longer have to deal with those burdensome chip-implanted debit cards. But that's their 3-step plan, folks. And the ultimate goal, obviously, is chip implanting in people's hands to access their bank accounts, because cash will be outlawed. It will be unnecessary. No one will accept cash. So there's no reason to have cash, because no one will accept it. Everything is going to be digital. So even if the computers crash and a market economy goes down via computer crash, you still can't buy or sell anything because the computers are down and no one's taking cash. You see the messes that are coming. Now we know the grid's going down because there's going to be a pole flip. Isaiah talks about it. The earth rocks to and fro like a drunkard. It's bending forward, and then it's standing back up, and then it's bending forward. It's like a drunk man who can't get his bearings on his feet. And that pretty much describes a pole flip, folks. And so obviously the grid's going to go down, and all their digital currency access will go with it. So even then, having a chip in your hand isn't going to do you a bit of good. Just a word to the wise. And the one thing angering me the most is seeing all these people coming out with videos that the chip is not the mark of the beast. It most certainly is. It should have been chip of the beast and not translated mark of the beast, but it was. But a big part of the agenda coming up, the program coming up, you're seeing a lot of stuff going on about the Paris Agreement. Pay attention to that, because that's all code word. Paris Agreement, the media wants you to think that it's about carbon emissions. And they write articles about carbon emissions, and they go on and on. And you really have to skim it to try to see any codes being revealed, because the whole thing about carbon emissions is a lie. The whole Paris Agreement is a front for the global currency reset agenda. People recognize it as NESARA or GESARA, Global Economic Reformation Act, or the National Economic Reformation Act, and putting all the world's currencies into precious. All right, so putting everything back into precious metals. This is part of the one agenda. It's part of the Paris Agreement. And then fast forward to digital, and then jump to chip implanting. Because chip implanting is a huge agenda of the regime that's coming in to replace the old New World Order. It's their baby. It's their puppy. It's the whole basis, foundation of their regime. Because this Sananda that they're all thinking is the Son of God, and I keep warning people about this fake Jesus that's coming, And he goes by the name Sananda Asu Emmanuel. He calls himself I Am. They all go on with that I Am gibberish. And what does Matthew 24 say about I Am? It's one of the signs of the last days when you see all these people stating I Am. So that's a huge clue giveaway of who these freaks are. But chip implanting and vaccine implementation is a huge backbone of their agendas. And that's why the Obama plan wasn't repealed, because he's got mandatory chip implanting buried in the sections of that health bill of his. And they don't want to overturn that. They've got to keep that and change everything else. Because even, I hate to say it, but when you look at the Trump regime, Jared Kushner, who owns the building 666 on Fifth Avenue, who is a Mossad agent, his father was Mossad, and so that's old cabal, and the whole thing around that is Lucent Technologies and the 666 chip beast chip, RFID, NFC, whatever you want to call it. It's a microchip. And everybody has these plans, no matter which side you're on, whether you're the Cabal, New World Order, the reptilian side, or you're the secret Brotherhood, and they're all part of the Brotherhood, just different branches of the Brotherhood, the Masons. The Masons, I've said, are run by the Tall Grays. Their grand architect was Saint Germain, the big G in the center of Masonry. He's part of the Ashtar Command, this eighth regime coming in, this whole restored republic, Nasera crowd, the Ashtar Command, Galactic Federation, all that. You guys think it sounds like a bunch of New Age blah, blah. Well, it is. But that's what's coming in. And they're all, both sides, behind the chip implantation. They all want the chip implants. And then you have the MSM, who just hide everything, keep everything out of the news so people don't really know what's going on. And I was looking at videos earlier. I miss the Obama regime for the fact that it was such sheer entertainment. Now it's even more entertainment that he's out of office and not going after people just for making fun of him. And so everybody has all these videos up. That whole family was so fake. It was so fake. He's a gay man. He didn't father those children, and she's a man, so she didn't give birth to those children. They've located the real parents. Wow, it's funny. It goes on. And nothing will ever be done because the mainstream media keeps all of it out. And the outright fraud on the public that they portrayed will never be brought out because it was just a CIA operation. The entire family was a CIA operation. They'll keep Obama hidden just so he can't answer, all the questions about how he was nothing but a CIA agent and plant from the beginning. And which Obama are you going to bring in? There was 12 of them. There was so many of them. And they all played a different role. The Obama I knew would never harm a child. But then the Obama you see in the latter years was very up to Pizzagate sauce to his eyebrows. That wasn't the original Obama. He wasn't like that. You just have a mess. You have a hodgepodge of these Obamas. And if you ask me, Michelle's, I think she's reverting back to a man. Because everyone's sick of the sour-faced, mad, angry Michelle, entitled spoiled brat, and I think Michelle's going to go back to being a Michael, and she's just hiding amongst us as a man, now back to Michael. I miss the entertainment, but that's, whatever, because I have to keep focused on the agendas, because that's why I'm here, to prepare you guys for the regime that's coming to take over the world. And, Trump is a placeholder. He's just kind of the balanced guy in the middle to see the one go down and the other one He's going to see the other one rise, but how he reacts to it is up to him. Now, what I was saying was they're having all these Paris Agreement meetings, and what I thought was funny was the White House was supposed to have a meeting yesterday, and they canceled it because the principals involved with the meeting were traveling. That was the excuse. I died laughing. Yeah, they're traveling, all right. And it wasn't the White House officials. Frankly, the Ashtar officials. And I don't want to get too much into that, but they've got to get this going. They've got to bring it on because, the world is waiting. Time is waiting. No more delays. No more stalling. Trump wants to make America great again, but he's up against the iron wall. He can't win. He can't win against Bible prophecy. He can't win against Father Time. He can't win. But what he can win is he can decide is if America goes down on its knees or goes down fighting. That's really his only choice because America's going down. So we either fight as a country on our way down, or we just surrender and go down on our knees. So that's the choice he has. But America goes down. It's prophesied. You can't beat Bible prophecy. The only thing you're beating is time. Stalling time. Time. And frankly, with the duration of time, people are getting worse. They're not waking up and getting any better. On one hand, they are. People are waking up that they've been enslaved to this reptilian regime that has dominated America since the 1800s. They're waking up to all that. But then they just jump in the firing pan when they start rejecting the truths of prophecy that are coming. They're going to damn their souls if they get involved with this chip implanting. They're going to damn your souls to hell, folks. Don't get involved with it. They can't kill you for not getting the chip, but most people will get it just because they're hungry. That's one thing Lucifer has on his side is suffering, because people will just give in when they're suffering and get the chip. That's what he's banking on. And he doesn't care about the races he already owns. He doesn't care about the Asians and the Indians and all these races that are worshiping Buddha or atheistic or agnostic. He's coming after the Christians. They're coming after the Christians. Because his greatest joy is to see someone with the Father's light in them go to his side, switch to his side. You get the chip, the mark of the beast, you're switching to Satan's side. Pounding my chest, which is usual. So this is the stuff that's coming. Now, the Ashtar Command is supposed to make their arrival this spring. And their delays are leading to their demise, temporary delays. They're just going to have to pick up and do what they're supposed to do. They're the ones who are telling the people they're coming, we're coming, and then they refuse to come. And so it takes a whole other factions who outnumber them and outpower them to force them to come. Does that make any sense? We literally have to pull them in kicking and screaming because as much talk and huffing and puffing as they do, they don't want to do it. That's why you go one step forward and two steps back every time all these people get all hyped about currency-backed, gold-backed currencies, and then all of a sudden everything goes into delays. That's because they don't really want to even do their own agenda. They're being forced to, for as much huffing and puffing and talking as they do. There was a huge space fight Monday night after my show. They were kept out of my region, so I wasn't even aware until morning that there was a huge fight going on. But for a lot of you in the South and in the West, you probably heard the huge booms. Maybe you had some wind, flashes of light that you probably thought were lightning. which are actually photon beams. There was a huge fight, huge space fight. They wanted to come here during my show. You know, when they have their little plots and plans to blow my place up. They tried to blow it up in 2012, and about this time every year they come up with plans to do it again. It's April. It's their month to blow Sherry Shriner up. I killed my leg, so I was walking around. I slept all contorted all night because the cat was at my normal spot where I put my feet when I sleep. Oh, and I woke up this morning and that vein in my leg hurt so bad. Next time I'm just kicking the cat off the bed. He's just going to have to grab a pillow or something because I need my leg room. Must reclaim my bed back. At least my feet space. All this pain over a cat. So this is where we are, folks. Pay attention to Paris agreements because that's going to be Washington's deciding factor. They're trying to undo what Obama and Hillary did and probably set the terms of their own agreements because Obama and Hillary were signing America over to the Chinese. You know, Obama went over there in 2008, Hillary did, with this eminent domain plan to get money off the Chinese, saying, that we're borrowing all this money and stuff from the Chinese, and if we don't pay it back, then you can get America on default on payment. America would become bankrupt, and Chinese could foreclose on America and own America. That was the plan. And, of course, Hillary was fully intended on never paying a dime back that she was borrowing for the government because they're giving America, their plan always was to give America to the Chinese. Bill Clinton, when he was president, would open up the military intelligence to them and give them any intelligence they wanted, our weapon systems, our bombs. They had full access to our military. That's why with the flip of a switch, they could shut off our ships down in Panama Canal and going to the Middle East because also during Obama's tenure they had the Navy putting Chinese-made equipment in the ships and the submarines. Some kind of chips that the Chinese had made. So now the Chinese have full control over our naval fleets. They can turn them on, turn them off. They can freeze the ship in the middle of the ocean just turning it off. They own all the chips. They were fully intended on giving America over to the Chinese because the Chinese are the military arm of the UN. Who's the UN? The UN is going to be owned by this Ashtar Command and States regime that's coming in. They're going to take over the UN, and China is going to be their military arm. Do you see how all this is folding into a picture puzzle? And so that's why, they didn't care about America, because America was going to come under the slavery of the Chinese. What's HSBC? Hong Kong Shanghai Bank of China. They're buying out all the banks in America. They're buying out all the brands, the franchises. They own tons of Chase banks, key banks, all of them, every bank. I live in a cow town. They own every little cow bank in here. They're buying out all the banks, owning all the banks. Whoever controls the money owns the people. We just went through this with the IRS all these years. The Federal Treasury, which isn't even federal, isn't owned by our government. It's owned by the Rothschilds. America has never owned their own money. Most people just don't even realize that. We've always been owned by somebody. Why can't America be owned by America? And this is what Trump, why so many are fighting against him. Wow, this show goes fast, 90 seconds. But this is where we're heading, folks. Pay attention to Paris, what happens with these Paris agreements. I'm thinking the next a couple weeks are going to be really exciting. And I mean that in a different way. But I'll be back on Friday at noon with my next show. New schedule this week, folks. Make it a permanent Friday at noon. Till then, everybody. God bless.